Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals, and today I have got an awesome game from the ladder. That means it's a best of one. It is a Zerg versus Zerg, and it is between two pretty awesome players. So I'm just going to get straight into this and introduce both of them. Spawning up in the top right position, we have got the blue Zerg player from Team Evil Geniuses. It is Stephano. And his opponent down in the bottom left, the red Zerg. From Team Liquid, it's TLO. So yes, these two are powerhouses of the swarm. They are spawning on Neo Planet S, which is one of those maps where lots of fun things can happen. Both of these two are pretty macro-orientated players usually. They like droning up, so I wouldn't be surprised to see hatch versus from both of them, or at least economical openings. They are both getting their overlords down, so that's to be expected. Will we see some funny things coming out from either of them? We all know that Stephano does have some pretty awesome tactics potentially up his sleeve. Other things that are also good to note on this map, which can work really well, are things like mutalisks, because you can really utilize this area here, going into the main, dying in and out, and also this dead space behind the third. That can be really effective. Also, pressure can be really nice too, because the rush distance isn't that long. However, Zergling aggression can be really counteracted because of this narrow choke area. And what you can do really effectively here as Zerg is put the double evolution chamber and double queen in. And when you do that, you can just make sure that everything's going to work and you don't get rushed by lings. And that can be a really powerful opening too. So we'll potentially be seeing that as well. Now, at the moment we see the spawning pool first up against the hatch first from Stephano. In terms of strategy and what effect that has, it just means the TLO has the option of getting Zerglings out a little bit quicker. He also gets his first queen out sooner. However, Stephano gets his second queen out sooner, and it all balances out pretty much equally. In terms of gas timings as well, usually I'd expect to see gases come out, usually pretty soon after the spawning pool and hatchery are done, because that's where you want to start getting Zergling speed out, potentially start teching it up. Alternatively, you can leave it a bit later and go for a double gas. And the advantage of doing that just means you can pump out a couple more drones, but you can only really afford to do that if you're pretty confident that your opponent isn't going to be trying to put on lots of pressure, because if they are, especially with a lot of Zerglings or Speedlings, you need to make sure that you've got Banelings out, because otherwise you're going to have a bit of a bad time. That's an understatement. But anyway, as we see, Overlord coming in here, 40 TLO, he gets a scout out, sees the spawning pool, sees the hatch first timing. Stephano, meanwhile, has just seen that the hatchery's there. That's it. That's all he's really encountered for that moment of time, so nothing really to worry about there for him. Everything going somewhat to plan, and things going just as I would expect. So I don't think that really we've got anything to worry about or anything too crazy going to be going on in the near future, but the gas timing is what I've got to keep a big eye out for, because if the gases come down soon, that could be an indicator of aggression. If they don't, that means they're both trying to macro up. But taking a third, if they are trying to macro up and just go really economically focused, taking a third on Neo Planet S can be a bit of a pain, because it's quite out of the way. You've got this back entrance into it. Speedling run-bys can be a nightmare, especially with these two equal length attack paths. You can send a handful of speedlings up to the third, handful of speedlings into the natural, and unless your multitasking is really solid and you're prepared for that sort of play, it can be very problematic. Now, this is quite interesting from Stephano. He's got the double queen coming down, and the third and fourth queen coming down, and the first two are coming out forward. That means that he's got the option to wall off the ramp into his natural, which is safe. He's also got the option to chuck down those evolution chambers, as I said about earlier on in the game. It's a really nice map to do it on, as I said, because this area is really quite tight, and with the queens you can wall that off, mean that you're completely safe from Zergling aggression, allowing you to tech up really quite heavily. So it'll be interesting to see what TLO does about that, whether he scouts any of this out. And yeah, there's the third queen there. Creep tumors are being placed down, and yep, just as expected, there comes down 2 evolution chambers. And ooh, okay, this is now really funky. 6 queens are going to be produced here by Stephano. So he's got 4 down the front just to make sure that he can wall this off really comfortably. And he's still producing lava. So he's in a really defensive, turtled up position where actually he's most likely just going to be pumping out a lot of tech really quite fast. So behind this we see that TLO, he's just busy getting out his Rotron, getting out a Baneling Nest as well with 2 gases. The first gases for Stephano haven't actually been down for that long. He's only mining his first kind of 50 gas at the moment. and that could be quite an interesting position. TLO did just lose an Overlord there, the first losses of the game. +1 missile attack on its way down here for Stephano. We should also be seeing +1 Carapace get started up once he's got enough for it, because he's got those double evolution chambers. There's his Roach Warren as well. But look at this, 6 roaches, 7 roaches now in production. TLO, he's going to see this, and this is a really smart move actually by Stephano. He's pulled back 2 of the queens there to make sure that it's not revealed too early that this is a really passive play. But TLO, he doesn't matter. He knows that there's these queens here, which means that Stephano's going to be taking up behind it, be it with Roach-Ron or with these upgrades or whatever, and that he's going to be vulnerable to a big roach push, because all he's got to defend with is likely to be Zerglings. Therefore, Stephano now getting supply block 2, losing that Overlord there. Look at this TLO, he's just pumping so many units at the moment. The queens are moving forward to come and take out this Overlord here. Well, they should be successful in getting it just, I'd imagine, but now they're out of position. That leaves the wall off vulnerable. Is TLO going to try and run in there? Well, not at the moment. He's got a couple of Banelings morphing in, but he doesn't really need those, because Stephano at the moment, he doesn't have a single Zergling out on the field. It's only these queens defending. Straight away the roaches are starting to engage. The transfuses are going down on the queens. Stephano's going to have a really tough time trying to hold this off. He's moving back. But look, the queens just getting annihilated by this many roaches. The banelings also starting to move forward now. They are coming in. The queens are falling in number rapidly. 6 roaches, 7 roaches now in production for Stephano. But the queens going down. The drones are getting eaten alive. The roaches for Stephano will not have the 1-1 upgrades for quite some time yet. Another 20 in-game seconds. Drones even trying to fight here, trying to clump up most of these roaches. But only a couple of roaches out defensively here for Stephano. And all TLO's doing behind this is he's getting a wave of drones, and he's also still pumping out a couple more roaches. But this push is already doing so much damage. 17, 18, 19, 20 workers killed so far, and this push still isn't getting cleaned up. Stephano desperately trying to get out a couple more roaches at the moment, but he just needs to get that critical mass to be able to engage this. It's 19 roaches down for TLO at the moment, and he is just pushing in. Stephano getting a good attack angle here, but there's just so few units. 1-1 upgrades are about to kick in for Stephano's roaches though, which means that he can trade effectively, but only if he gets a decent amount of units on the field. And for the moment he's struggling to do that, because roaches are still streaming into the natural base. Drones are getting taken out in the main. This is a relatively fair fight now, because there are 3 roaches down here for Stephano with the 1-1 upgrades. TLO though, he's doing just a handful of work, because along with a good constant resupply of roaches into this push. And as we see, TLO at the moment with these roaches streaming in, he's able to knock out anything that comes out of the natural base. He's outnumbering in the main base too, microing back the damaged roaches, trying to keep them all alive, trying to pick off a couple more workers. More roaches making their way into the main, and Stephano is in so much trouble here. He's under half the supply of his opponent, 44 to 24 workers, and that number is going to fall even quicker for Stephano, because these roaches already in the main base doing a lot of damage. You've got more reinforcements on their way through as well. Behind this, TLO just started up his own 1-1 upgrades, but he must know he's in a great spot. Stephano needs nothing shy of a miracle at the moment. Losing all of these workers, his natural base still isn't mining, and more reinforcements coming in. I just don't see how Stephano could possibly try and get back to this. He's under a third of the resources of his opponent. That in itself is so problematic. And yeah, now with these roaches coming in, I think it's pretty much over now, because it's 18 workers to 44. Even if Stephano is somehow able to clear this out, there's more roaches coming in from behind this. 1-1 upgrades are coming down, everything leveling out for TLO, and he's just so far ahead in terms of the economy. And there is the unexpected from Stephano with a well played too. And indeed it was well played by TLO, because he identified that Stephano was going for this like really quick tech up route, playing defensive against speedlings and pushing in with roaches, and a big commitment there was the best way to deal with it. So congratulations to the Liquid player, doing awesome work. So if you enjoyed that video, make sure that you like it, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and I'll catch each and every one of you tomorrow for yet another new cast. I'm Madals, thanks for watching, and bye for now.